In this video, I will show you all 5 players that you need to succeed in a full lineup for the Monday Night Football single game slate on FanDuel tonight as the Los Angeles Rams, fresh off a victory against their divisional rivals of the Seahawks, attempt to continue their victory streak in the NFC against the stacked Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and having simulated nearly 100,000 different combinations of roster builds, here are your locks and lotteries for Monday night, November 23rd, 2020. If you like this kind of fast-paced, calculated content, subscribe and stay tuned for more lineups throughout the season, including a Thursday Night Football DraftKings Showdown video coming soon. Starting off this lineup with our first 2 locks, this matchup looks like one that will be dominated by the defenses, but since defenses aren't an option in FanDuel like they are in DraftKings, our best bet here is to just default to the players who typically score the most points by a large margin compared to other positions, as our first pair of selections are Jared Goff and Tom Brady. The reason my model recommended both of these players is because no other player can consistently offer those high double-digit performances, which is pretty obvious for a quarterback, but still, in such a tight matchup between 2 defensive powerhouses in the NFC, we'll need to take those guaranteed points wherever we can get them. And with a quarterback, it would almost be less likely for either of these guys to fall below 10 fantasy points than it would to see one of them surpass 20. There really isn't any player in particular I would trust to score massive points on the night in this slate either, which is another reason why both quarterbacks were taken, as with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey shutting down any potential explosion out of Tampa Bay's offense, and Ndamukong Suh and Shaq Barrett locking down LA's receivers, it's going to be tough to determine any player in particular who will be able to break free. As for which player should be our MVP, my model recommends Jared Goff, with Brady acting as a standardly scored flex player. Similarly to the rest of this lineup, this decision in particular was mainly influenced by the defensive statistics on either side, as compared to the Rams' 3rd-ranked defense in pass yards allowed per game, allowing not even 200. The Buccaneers' pass yards per game ranks 9th. Additionally, Tampa Bay tends to allow more points through the air than Los Angeles, allowing an average of 0.7 more passing touchdowns per game than the Rams. Both quarterbacks will still be important to have in order to find those definite points, but I, and more importantly my model, do believe Goff has the edge in this contest. For the 3rd and final lock, my model chose Ronald Jones II. A few weeks ago, it was looking unlikely that Jones would be a reliable fantasy option, scoring no more than 5 fantasy points in both weeks 8 and 9. Looking more closely at those matchups though, it becomes evident that Jones was simply a victim to Bruce Arians' game script and plan for the game. For example, in that week 9 competition when Jones scored just 3.3 fantasy points, the Buccaneers only ran the ball 5 times total. That was clearly a pass-heavy game, but last week against Carolina with a more run-heavy game plan, Jones rushed 23 times, managing that highlight-worthy 99-yard touchdown from Tampa Bay's own 1-yard line. I'm not trying to argue that Jones will have another play of the year caliber run again tonight, but against the Rams, who are ranked 3rd in pass yards allowed per game and 1st in pass touchdowns allowed per game, Arians and the Buccaneers may look to the run more often in this ground-and-pound slugfest of a face-off. For the first lottery, my model recommends the player who had one of the harshest falls from grace in the history of the NFL, the man who many once considered to be the best receiver in the league, the wide receiver who just got home from the NO, Antonio Brown. With a slow start in his first contest, only garnering 3 catches for just about 30 yards against the Saints, AB is starting to pick up speed once again, recording 7 of 8 targets last week for 69 nice yards. That off week against the Saints was one in which no Buccaneers did well, with the kicker acting as their only scoring player in what could very well have been a shutout otherwise. Brown is clearly getting accumulated to his new Floridian home and should find more attention in this contest, where Brady will need to fully utilize all of his options in order to overcome such a demanding and stout secondary. For the final lottery, we're able to afford Ryan Suckup, who really isn't that bad of a choice considering how this game is expected to play out. With such tight defenses from both Tampa Bay and LA, there will likely be stops short of the goal line for both teams, resulting in field goal attempts from both kickers throughout the night. I'd personally expect a relatively lower scoring game, with many field goals to be had from both Suckup and whomever the Rams named their starting kicker. That's what my model was able to come up with for the Monday Night Football single game slate on FanDuel tonight, November 23rd, 2020. This has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Thanks for watching.